The courtroom froze the moment his laugh cut through the air, sharp, mocking, the kind of sound meant to belittle. He leaned back like he owned the room, eyes locked on Judge Judy with a smirk that dared her to react. Cameras shifted, people whispered, even the lights seemed to wait. But that smirk did not survive the next 60 seconds. What Judy said afterward silenced everyone. But before we dive in, tell me, where are you watching from? Don't forget the subscribe button. The smirk is still there. Sharp, deliberate. A challenge he thinks Judge Judy cannot refuse. It hangs in the air like the last spark before a flame catches, and the courtroom watches, waiting for the explosion he believes he controls. The camera lingers on him, chin lifted, arms crossed, legs wide like a man performing confidence instead of living it. The kind of posture that says he has spent years perfecting intimidation, but today, under the courtroom lights, it looks like armor more than power. Judge Judy studies him from behind the bench, her expression unreadable. She does not react to the laugh he threw moments before. She does not blink at his smirk. Her stillness is what rattles him first. A predator does not need to snarl when silence is enough. Beside him, the plaintiff shifts forward. A young man, early 20s, shoulders curled inward as if he learned young that shrinking makes a smaller target. His voice barely rises above a whisper as he tries to explain his claim. Tools taken, money owed, intimidation in between. But every time he speaks, the bully cuts in. Louder, laughing at him like the courtroom is an audience he deserves. The bully points at him, shaking his head with exaggerated disbelief. "This is ridiculous," he scoffs, leaning back so far his chair creaks. He is making things up to get attention. Judy raises one eyebrow, not high, not dramatic, just enough to slit the air. Her gaze slides from plaintiff to defendant with surgical precision. "Are you finished?" she asks, her voice sharp in its simplicity. The bully opens his mouth to continue, but something stops him. Maybe the tone, maybe the room shifting, maybe the way even the bailiff has gone still. His smirk flickers, only for a second, like a flame-tasting wind. Judge Judy turns her eyes to the plaintiff. "Say what you were trying to say," she instructs. The young man nods, hands trembling as he holds a small stack of papers. He took the tools. They were borrowed from my uncle's shop. He said he would bring them back in 2 days. A pause. That was 5 months ago. "And," Judy prompts. The young man swallows. "Every time I asked for them, he laughed at me." The bully snorts. "Because you cried about it like a kid." A murmur ripples through the room. Judy's eyes narrow, barely noticeable, but enough to shift the room's temperature. "Mr. Grant," she says, turning to the bully, "do you think belittling him here will help you?" He shrugs, trying to keep the smirk alive. "I'm just telling the truth." "No." Judy leans forward, folding her hands. "You are telling me who you are." The bully's jaw tightens. Judy lets the silence breathe. Heavy, intentional, impossible to escape. Then, with a calmness that cuts sharper than any raised voice, she asks, "Let us start with the truth you keep running from." The challenge lands between them like a dropped match. For the first time, his smirk hesitates, just a flicker, but enough for the entire room to feel the shift. Judge Judy waits, unblinking, her stare steady and carved from stone. The bully straightens, forcing the smirk back onto his face as if reattaching a shield, but shields clatter when struck, and Judy has just begun tapping. The plaintiff clears his throat. His voice is still fragile, but there's a new edge of courage, thin, tremoring, rising. I tried to handle this on my own," he says, eyes fixed on the papers shaking in his hands. "I asked him every week for my tools back. He laughed every single time." The bully rolls his eyes, but his fingers betray him. They twitch against his thigh, tapping out a nervous rhythm he cannot control. The camera catches the movement, a close-up that exposes what words cannot. "Show me what you brought," Judy says calmly. The plaintiff steps forward, placing a battered, overstuffed folder onto the bench. Its edges are frayed, its pages bent from being held too tightly, too often. The bully's eyes lock onto it, not with defiance, but with a flash of recognition. His posture freezes for a heartbeat. Judy notices. Of course she notices. "What is in there?" the bully asks, voice louder than necessary, like volume can drown fear. "Evidence," the plaintiff whispers. The bully laughs again, forced this time, harsher. "Oh, come on, he writes things down when he gets scared. He's just dramatic." Judy lifts a single finger. The room goes silent instantly. "Mr. Grant," she says, "if this young man is dramatic, then you should be eager for me to examine what he documented, correct?" He hesitates, a long, thin pause that stretches his confidence thin enough to see through. "Yeah," he finally mutters. "Sure. Whatever." Judy opens the folder slowly, deliberately, like revealing the inside of a locked drawer. Inside are printed screenshots, time-stamped messages, handwritten notes, even a few photos. Not chaos, not confusion, order, pattern, persistence. "Did you write these messages?" Judy asks, holding one up. The bully leans forward, squinting. "Maybe, I do not know. He spams me all the time." "And this one?" She holds another, the text bold, unmistakable. "You get them back when you learn how to talk like a man." A quiet gasp filters through the audience. The bully laughs, but the sound cracks. "People joke like that all the time." Judy's voice sharpens. "Not when property is being withheld, not when someone is reporting harassment." His jaw tightens. His leg bounces now, rhythmic and uncontrollable. The plaintiff speaks again, more firmly. "I kept records because I knew no one would believe me." Judy nods. "And you were correct too." The bully shifts, crossing his arms too quickly, too stiffly. His throat tightens in a visible swallow. "Let us go piece by piece," Judy says. She pulls out a photo he clearly recognizes. His face drains. Confidence slips. The first real crack appears. "Tell me," she says quietly, "why does this folder make you nervous?" The folder lands on the desk with a soft thud, but the sound hits him like a hammer. His smirk vanishes before he can pretend otherwise. Judge Judy slides the top page forward, her fingertips barely grazing the paper. The courtroom leans in without meaning to. Even the cameras seem to adjust their focus, drawn toward the shift in his posture. Gone is the man who swaggered in with laughter. In his place sits someone calculating escape. "This," Judy says, lifting the first document, "is a message you claim you never sent." He forces a laugh, but it is thin, brittle as glass. "Looks fake to me. Anyone can type." "Read the timestamp." Her voice cuts him cleanly, leaving no room to wriggle. He squints, his eyes flicker. "Whatever, so I text fast." She lifts the next sheet, a screenshot of a voice note transcription, his words on digital paper, his tone captured in mockery, his threats preserved line by line. The bully swallows hard, throat shifting visibly. "Mr. Grant," Judy continues, "you denied speaking to him for weeks, yet here you are, sending messages almost daily." That is not what I meant." He shifts in his chair, suddenly unable to find a comfortable position. "He bothers me constantly. He twists everything." The plaintiff, still seated, shakes his head. "I only asked for my tools back." Judy raises her palm, a silent signal. The young man stops talking immediately. The bully does not. He keeps mumbling, half sentences, fragments of excuses, all tripping over each other. The camera pans in slowly, catching the twitch in his jaw, the tapping foot, the restless fingers. Arrogance does not evaporate cleanly. It breaks piece by piece. Judy turns another page. This one freezes him. It is a printed photo, grainy, time-stamped. The bully standing behind the plaintiff's car, holding the very toolbox in question. He is looking directly at the camera, mouth open mid-laugh, a laugh identical to the one he threw into this courtroom minutes ago. The bully lunges forward. "Where did you get that?" His voice spikes too fast, too sharp, betraying panic he cannot hide. The plaintiff speaks gently. "My neighbor recorded it when he heard you yelling at me." "I was not yelling," he snaps. "You said," Judy reads aloud, "I will give these back when you stop acting like a child who cannot handle life." His face goes pale. The courtroom quiets into a thick, heavy stillness. Judy sets the photo down carefully, lining it up with the edges of the folder. Then she looks straight at him. No expression, no raised voice, just a calm that slices deeper than anger. "You are denying possession," she says, "yet here you are holding the property in your own hands." He opens his mouth, then closes it. Words fail him. Confidence fails him. The room tightens around him like a closing fist. Judy reaches for another document, one with red markings and a bank header visible from several feet away. "Now," she says, sliding it toward him, "explain why your bank ID appears on the transfer he reported." His breath catches. The smirk is gone. And fear finally shows. His breath stumbles before his words do. A single page, thin, ordinary, has the power to drain the color from his face, and everyone in the courtroom sees it happen. Judge Judy slides the bank document closer, the paper whispering across the desk like a truth, sharpening its edge. The bully does not touch it. He stares at it the way someone stares at an approaching reckoning, slow, undeniable, terrifying. "Mr. Grant," Judy says, her tone calm and ice clean, "your bank ID is attached to this transaction. You claimed you never sent him money. You claimed you never even spoke to him." I did not," he stammers, fingers tightening around the arms of his chair. His knee bounces so violently now the entire row behind him can feel it. Judy tilts her head. "Then tell me why your digital stamp is here." It must be fake," he blurts. "People Photoshop things all the time." But his voice shakes, his hands shake. Even his breath has lost its rhythm. The plaintiff, sitting quietly, looks down at his lap. He does not smile. He does not gloat. But a soft, fragile hope flickers in his posture, the kind of hope that grows only after months of humiliation. Judy taps the page lightly. "This was pulled directly from the bank's downloadable activity report. He provided his login in chambers. My staff verified it." The bully's eyes widen. "You cannot do that." "I did." Her voice does not rise. It does not need to. Accuracy matters more than ego. The bully grabs at the air, as though reaching for a lie he misplaced. I only sent that because he begged me. He kept bothering me." The plaintiff lifts his head. "You told me it was rent for the tools and that you would double it if I stopped crying." A gasp echoes through the audience. The bully whips toward him. "You twisted—" "Enough," Judy says sharply. The room stills. Even the cameras freeze, their red lights holding steady like watchful eyes. "I will not have tantrums in my courtroom," she continues. "You are contradicting yourself every time you open your mouth. The truth is simple. You made transactions. You taunted him. You recorded yourself doing it." "I did not record," he snaps. Judy lifts her hand. "We will get to that." His lips press into a thin, trembling line. Then she turns to the plaintiff. "Do you have the time-stamped video you mentioned in your complaint?" The young man nods shakily and passes a small USB drive to the clerk. The bully's breath catches, a sharp, involuntary sound. "You cannot show that," he shouts, pushing forward in his chair, panic shredding what is left of his composure. Judy does not flinch. "I most certainly can." The clerk steps forward, inserting the drive into the courtroom monitor. The screen comes to life in a wash of pixelated color. The bully grips the sides of the table as though bracing for impact. Judy folds her hands, eyes fixed on the screen. "Let us see," she says softly, "what you really did." The room holds its breath the moment the monitor flickers to life. A frozen frame appears, dim lighting, a driveway, the edge of a toolbox visible at the bottom. And right there in the center, paused mid-smirk, is the bully himself. For a heartbeat, he forgets to blink. Judy leans back slightly, giving the clerk a nod. The video plays. The courtroom fills with the sound of gravel under shoes, muffled nighttime air, and then his voice. Clear, mocking, identical to the laugh he threw at Judge Judy when he walked in. The bully on screen swings the plaintiff's toolbox in one hand, like it weighs nothing. "Maybe you will grow a spine if I hold on to this long enough," he says, laughing at his own words. "You want it? Earn it." A few audience members gasp. Someone whispers, "That is him." Even the cameras tilt subtly, zooming tighter on his face in the courtroom, watching the real-time unraveling of a man watching his own truth. The bully shifts forward, eyes wide, face reddening. That is edited. I never said that." But the video continues, destroying every excuse he tries to form. On screen, he leans closer to the person filming. "He needs to learn respect," he says. "People like him do not get things handed back." Judge Judy's eyebrow arches slowly, like a rising blade. The bully explodes. "This is illegal. You cannot film people without—" "Stop!" Judy's voice slices through his panic. "This recording was taken on the property of the plaintiff's neighbor, public view." Nighttime does not erase accountability. The plaintiff sits rigid, hands clamped together, eyes fixed on the screen. But not with revenge. With relief. The kind that shivers through a person who has been doubted too long. The bully tries again, voice cracking. He has been out to get me. He tricked me. Judy raises one hand. The room snaps silent. Mr. Grant, she says quietly, this is not trickery. This is you. This is your behavior without an audience until now. His mouth falls open, but no sound comes out. Judy leans forward, elbows on the desk. Let me explain something to you. When you mock someone, humiliate someone, intimidate someone, and then have the audacity to laugh about it on camera, you do not get to call yourself a victim. The bully's shoulders curl inward like they are collapsing under the weight of his own arrogance. She nods toward the monitor. And we are not finished. The video ends with him walking away, the toolbox still in his hand, muttering, he will get it back when he deserves it. Silence follows, but not the quiet kind. This silence burns. The bully opens his mouth, closes it, breathes hard. His hands tremble now, fingers curling into fists that cannot find power. Judy turns to the plaintiff. Did he ever return the tools after this incident? The plaintiff shakes his head. No, he said he would make me earn them. Judy looks back at the bully, voice level, calm, devastating. There is a pattern forming here, and I intend to uncover all of it. The bully's eyes dart nervously to the folder still sitting open, as if realizing something inside it might be even worse. The silence after the video is still vibrating in the air, a silence so heavy it feels like gravity has doubled. And in that weight, Judge Judy shifts her gaze to him. The bully's chest rises and falls too quickly. He keeps blinking, like the world is suddenly too bright. He looks smaller now, not physically, but emotionally, like someone realizing the room he thought he controlled has been closing in the entire time. Judy folds her hands. Mr. Grant, the video shows your behavior toward him, but I want to understand why you contacted his landlord. The bully's head jerks up. What? That is not part of this. Oh, it is, Judy says. Because harassment rarely happens in isolation. It spreads like mold. The plaintiff shifts uncomfortably, eyes down. He called my landlord 3 times, he murmurs, told him I was unreliable, that I damaged things, that I owed people money. A ripple of shock moves through the gallery. The bully slams his palm on the table. That was advice. I was trying to help him get his life together. Judy turns to him with a look so sharp it cuts the air. You told his landlord to evict him. That's a lie, he shouts. The plaintiff pulls a folded paper from his lap, hands trembling. My landlord wrote this down. He hands it to the clerk, who delivers it to Judy. She reads it silently, eyes narrowing. Caller identified himself as a friend, she reads aloud, warning that the tenant was unstable, owed debts, and was causing trouble in the neighborhood. She sets the paper down. Mr. Grant, she says, why would you pretend to be his friend? The bully's mouth opens, but nothing comes out. A tiny tremor works its way up his jaw. His fingers tap uselessly against the table, a frantic rhythm that betrays panic far more than anger. I was trying to get him to give up the tools, he finally mutters. He was being dramatic. He kept whining. I needed leverage. Judy's expression doesn't change. If anything, it becomes quieter, more dangerous. You threatened his housing, she says, voice low, over tools that did not belong to you. He explodes. He deserved it. The words echo like a slap. The plaintiff flinches, and something inside the courtroom shifts, like the emotional temperature drops 10 degrees at once. Even the bailiff's posture tightens. Judy doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't need to. Explain, she says softly, why you think he deserved to be homeless. His lips move. No sound comes. The plaintiff's eyes glisten, but he doesn't look away. He doesn't shrink this time. He sits there, exposed, hurt but steady. And for a moment, the bully looks at him, really looks at him, and what he sees in that quiet, unwavering stare rattles him more than any piece of evidence so far. Judy leans back slightly, giving him room to speak the truth he keeps swallowing. But he says nothing. Nothing at all. The silence stretches so long it begins to feel alive. His outburst hangs between them like smoke that refuses to clear. And Judge Judy lets it linger, not to punish him, but to expose him. The bully shifts in his chair, clearly unused to a world where silence does not protect him. He tries to speak again, but nothing forms. His throat tightens, his jaw locks, his eyes dart anywhere but toward the plaintiff. The camera zooms slowly, catching every micro-collapse in his expression. because arrogance breaks loudly. But guilt breaks in silence. Judy folds the landlord's statement neatly, aligning its edges before setting it aside. The movement is small, subtle, yet it lands with the precision of a gavel strike. "You attempted to influence his housing," she says softly. "That is not a misunderstanding. That is intentional harm." He opens his mouth, finally words. "I did not mean—" "Stop." Her voice doesn't rise, but it cuts sharper than any shout. "You meant it enough to do it 3 times. His shoulders sag. The plaintiff watches him, not triumphant, not smug, just wounded. The kind of wound that still remembers how it happened. Judy continues, "Harassment is not limited to threats. It is pressure. It is manipulation. It is using fear as leverage." She taps the landlord letter once. "You did all 3. The bully wipes his palms against his jeans, trying to steady himself. "He made everything harder," he mutters. "He asks and asks and asks." "He asked for his property back," Judy corrects. "That is not harassment. That is basic decency." He looks up sharply. "You do not get it. People walk all over me if I do not push back." Judy's gaze doesn't soften, but it shifts, just slightly, like someone recognizing a familiar scar beneath a stranger's wrong choices. "Pushing back is not the same as pushing someone down." The bully opens his mouth to argue, but she continues before he can speak. "And there is something else," she says, sliding another sheet from the folder. "This affidavit places you at his workplace the week after he confronted you." The bully blinks. That is not accurate." The plaintiff leans forward. "My manager saw you. You threatened to ruin me if I kept bothering you." The bully presses his fingers to his temple, like this new truth physically hurts. "I never said that." Judy looks at him the way a microscope looks at a specimen. "Your stories keep changing, but the evidence does not." The bully swallows hard, but his throat barely moves. She lifts the affidavit higher. "And this places you outside his job at the exact time you claim you were out of town." A few people gasp. The bully's face flashes confusion, then fear. Then something deeper, a realization that the pattern he thought he controlled has caught up to him. He shakes his head. "Someone is setting me up." "No," Judy says quietly. "Someone is finally telling the truth." The bully grips the edge of the table. "You are twisting everything." "I have not twisted a single piece," Judy replies. "Your behavior twists itself." He looks down, breathing fast, skin pale. His silence returns, this time heavier, darker, pleading. Judy leans in. "Mr. Grant," she says, "there is something bigger here, something you have not admitted, and we are about to reach it." His eyes widen before his voice rises. Fear slips through the cracks he can no longer patch. And when he finally speaks, the mask he has been wearing all day tears clean in half. "This is ridiculous," he shouts, pushing himself up from the chair so quickly it screeches against the floor. "You are all biased. He points at Judge Judy with a trembling finger. "You have been against me from the beginning." The courtroom reacts instantly, a ripple of gasps, shifting bodies, a collective inhale that tightens the air. Even the cameras tilt slightly, catching the moment entitlement crosses into desperation. Judy does not blink. "Sit down," she says. The command is low, steady, unbroken, the kind of tone that ends storms. The bully freezes, pulse hammering visibly at his throat. Then, slowly, he sinks back into his chair, his hands clasped together as if he is holding himself still. Judy lets a long beat pass, a silence that resets the room. "Now," she says, folding her hands, "you accuse me of bias, but patterns do not lie. And your behavior is not isolated." His head snaps up. "What does that mean?" "It means," she says, sliding a new sheet onto the desk, "this is not your first claim of harassment, not your first dispute, not your first attempt to manipulate someone through intimidation." He stares at the paper like it might bite him. His lips part. What is that?" "A prior case," she answers. "Small claims court, 2 years ago, nearly identical circumstances." The plaintiff shifts, startled. A murmur runs through the audience. The bully shakes his head violently. "That case was nonsense. The guy lied. The judge did not understand." Judy cuts in. "Just like you say now?" He stops. Stopped, not because he understands, but because he has no place left to run. And more interesting, Judy continues, her tone tightening, your former coworker reported similar behavior during your employment. Attempts to teach people lessons when they did not do what you wanted, attempts to control outcomes through threats, withholding property, and harassment, the bully's voice cracks. You do not know what he did to me. Then explain, Judy replies. This is your chance. But there is no explanation, only panic, only breath that comes too fast, too shallow. He leans forward, fingers gripping the desk edge, eyes darting frantically around the courtroom. That smirk he arrived with, confident, taunting, arrogant, is nowhere to be found. Not even a memory of it remains. What are you hiding? Judy asks quietly. His breath stops, just stops, like the question pulled the air straight from his lungs. Before he can answer, the courtroom door opens at the side. A producer steps in, holding a sealed envelope, their expression tight. They hand it to Judy without a word. The entire room shifts, sensing the tremor in the air. The bully sees the envelope, and for the first time today, he goes completely still. His face drains of color, his eyes lock onto it, wide, terrified. He knows what it is before anyone else does. Judy breaks the seal slowly. The room barely breathes. His fear arrives before the truth does. It shows in the way his shoulders fold inward, in the way his hands hover above the table like he wants to grab something solid but cannot find anything real to hold. Judge Judy slides the sealed envelope closer, the paper gliding like a quiet warning. No one speaks. Even the cameras stay perfectly still, their red lights frozen as if they too are waiting for what comes next. She opens it with careful precision, not for drama, but for clarity. Inside sits a small stack of documents, clipped neatly together. She reads the top page in silence, her eyes scanning line by line. Each second feels heavier than the last. The bully watches the way someone watches a storm, bracing, blinking, hoping it passes before it hits him. Finally, Judy looks up. Mr. Grant, she begins, these documents come from your former employer. His face collapses an inch. No, that is old. That is nothing. Judy lifts the first page. This is a formal complaint, filed by your supervisor. It was a misunderstanding, he snaps, voice cracking. She continues reading. Repeated attempts to intimidate co-workers, withholding shared equipment, threatening to sabotage others' work if they did not show respect. The plaintiff's eyes widen. A few audience members exchange stunned glances. The bailiff shifts position, not aggressively, but as though the room has changed temperature. The bully shakes his head violently. That is out of context. They hated me there. Judy's expression remains calm, steady, unshakable. It describes the same behavior we are seeing here, a pattern, not an isolated event. His breath accelerates. You do not understand. They were all against me. Everyone. Everyone? Judy asks quietly. He freezes. That single word, everyone, hangs in the room like a mirror he does not want to look into. Judy sets the complaint down gently. When every environment produces the same conflict, Mr. Grant, sometimes the common denominator is not the environment. He stares at her, eyes shining with a mix of defiance and something else, something raw. Something he does not know how to hide. She picks up the second page. Your supervisor wrote that when you felt challenged, you responded with retaliatory behavior, that you targeted individuals who appeared quieter or less confrontational. The plaintiff's breath catches. The pattern becomes undeniable. The bully leans forward suddenly, voice trembling. I needed respect. No one gives it to me unless I make them. Judy's gaze softens, not in forgiveness, but in understanding the root of the problem. Respect is earned, she says. What you have been demanding is control. He swallows hard. His fingers curl into a fist, then uncurl. His eyes drop to the table. And now, Judy continues, you are going to tell me something I have been waiting to hear. He looks up slowly. Why? She asks, her voice barely above a whisper. Do you keep choosing people you believe are weaker than you? The question breaks something inside him. His chin trembles, his breathing falters, his eyes glaze, not with tears, but with the realization that every wall he built is cracking. He tries to speak, but his voice disappears before it reaches the air. His chin trembles before he can stop it. A man who strutted into the courtroom now sits like someone who has finally run out of places to hide. The arrogance he wore like armor has melted, revealing the fear buried underneath. Judge Judy does not push him. Not yet. She lets the silence breathe, giving him the space he has spent years refusing to give anyone else. The plaintiff watches with careful, uneasy eyes. He's not vindictive, only unsure what to do with the sight of the man who tormented him falling apart in front of everyone. The bully lifts a shaking hand to his face, wiping at sweat that is not there. He cannot look up. He stares at the edge of the desk like it is the only solid thing left. Judy leans forward, voice softer than it has been all day. "Mr. Grant, speak honestly. For the first time." He swallows hard. The sound echoes louder than any of his earlier shouting. His words break apart. "I was just trying to stand up for myself." Judy nods once. Standing up for yourself is not harassment. It is not intimidation. It is not sabotage. His breath hitches. He presses both palms flat on the desk, fingers spread wide like he is trying to steady himself. "People take advantage of you if you do not draw lines." The plaintiff flinches, but Judy keeps her focus on the bully. Drawing a boundary means saying no. It does not mean threatening his housing. It does not mean withholding property. It does not mean humiliating him. He closes his eyes tightly, as if replaying every moment he wished he could erase. "I did not want him to think," he hesitates, voice thinning. "I did not want him to think he could walk over me." Judy tilts her head. "So, you walked over him." A visible shiver runs through him, like the truth is too heavy to hold but too real to drop. He finally looks at the plaintiff. Really looks. Their eyes meet for a long, uncomfortable moment, one man breaking, one man remembering. I know I went too far," he whispers. The plaintiff swallows, stunned by the shift. His shoulders soften slightly, but his gaze stays guarded. You can forgive a moment. You cannot forget a pattern. Judy's tone tightens, not cold, but precise. "Going too far is not a slip, Mr. Grant. It is a choice, a repeated one." He flinches. "And that," she continues, "tells me you are acting out something much bigger than tools or text messages." The bully's lips part. "You do not know what people have done to me." There it is, the crack widening. Judy lets that confession sit in the space between them, fragile and trembling. "Then tell me," she says quietly, "what have people done to you?" He inhales sharply, eyes darting away. His chest tightens, his fingers tremble. His emotions rise and collapse in the same breath, like a dam about to burst. When he finally speaks, the words escape him, barely audible. "They made me feel small." The entire room stops. Judy's eyes narrow, not in judgment, but in recognition. "Small," she repeats. He nods once, stiffly, as if admitting it is physically painful. The word small still echoes in the room, fragile, heavy, and so out of place coming from the man who walked in swinging arrogance like a weapon. Judge Judy lets the silence stretch, giving the word room to reveal the truth he has spent years burying. The bully stares at the desk, shoulders hunched, fingers clenched tightly together as if holding himself from falling apart. His breathing is uneven, sharp at the edges, like every inhale is scraping against old wounds. The plaintiff watches him, eyes filled with something unexpected, not anger, not victory, but recognition. Judy's voice softens to a calm, steady warmth. "Mr. Grant," she says, "tell us what you meant." He swallows, jaw tightening as if the words are fighting their way out. "People pushed me around," he mutters. "In school, at home, everywhere." Judy stays silent, inviting him to continue. He drags a shaky hand through his hair, eyes unfocused. "They acted like I was nothing, like I did not matter. I told myself I would never feel like that again." His voice breaks on the last word. The plaintiff shifts, leaning forward slightly. His expression changes, something opening in him, like empathy he doesn't want to feel but cannot stop. The bully continues, voice trembling. "So when someone tries to make me look weak, I cannot handle it." He wipes at his eyes quickly, not quite tears, more like panic trying to escape. "I try to get ahead of it, Take control. Push first so they cannot push me. Judy nods slowly. You retaliate before anyone hurts you. He nods once, small, helpless. And you think that protects you? She asks. A bitter laugh escapes him. It does not, but it makes me feel less pathetic. The plaintiff inhales softly, as if absorbing the weight of those words. He whispers, barely audible. I know what that feels like. The bully looks up, startled, meeting the eyes of the man he spent months belittling. Something in his expression cracks deeper, guilt, confusion, regret colliding all at once. You did not deserve what I did, the bully says, voice breaking. I became the thing I hated. The courtroom falls utterly silent. No murmurs, no shifting chairs, just the raw, unvarnished truth settling into the air like dust on a quiet afternoon. Judy leans forward, her tone gentle yet unyielding. Understanding why you hurt people does not erase what you did to them, but it is the first step toward changing who you become next. He nods again. This time, slower, smaller. And perhaps, she adds, you have been fighting ghosts that were never standing in front of you. His lips tremble, his eyes lower. The plaintiff wipes at his own cheek, only then realizing a tear escaped. A shared pain hums between them, fragile and real. Judy watches both men carefully. Something shifts in her expression, calculation mixed with empathy, recognition mixed with judgment. Because this case is no longer only about tools, or texts, or harassment. It is about the shadow he has been fighting, the shadow he has been becoming. And Judy is about to speak the truth he has never admitted, the one that turns the entire case inside out. His confession is still hanging in the air, soft, broken, and heavier than any evidence shown so far. And in the aftermath, the courtroom feels different, quieter, but not calmer. Judge Judy lets the silence settle like dust after a collapsed building. The bully wipes his face with the back of his hand, embarrassed, not of his tears, but of being seen without the armor he has worn for so long. The plaintiff sits still, hands clasped, breathing slowly as if trying to absorb what has just unraveled before him. Judy studies them both with a gaze that is no longer sharp steel, but weathered stone, firm, grounded, patient. Mr. Grant, she begins, her voice calm, understanding your past does not excuse your actions, but it does help me understand the weight you were carrying while you inflicted weight on others. The bully winces. The words do not absolve him. If anything, they land heavier. He looks up slowly. I didn't want to hurt him, he whispers. I swear. I just didn't want to be the one who gets stepped on again. Judy shakes her head gently. You were not stepped on here. You were asked for accountability. You chose to turn that request into warfare. The plaintiff's eyes glisten as he looks at the bully, not as an enemy, but as someone finally seeing the tangled roots beneath the damage. I don't hate you, he murmurs. I just didn't know what I did to deserve it. The bully bows his head, shoulders curling inward. You didn't do anything. It wasn't you. That single sentence ripples through the courtroom. The plaintiff breathes out slowly, as though exhaling months of fear and confusion. Judy continues, her tone shifting to something balanced, firm, but undeniably human. When we walk around carrying unhealed pain, we end up handing pieces of it to the people who least deserve it. The bully squeezes his eyes shut. His voice cracks. I didn't know how to stop. That, Judy replies softly, is why conflict escalates. Because someone keeps investing more in power than in peace. The room absorbs the weight of her words. Even the bailiff, steady as a statue, seems less rigid, like the emotional temperature has dropped a few degrees, settling into something somber. The plaintiff wipes a tear, his voice quiet but steady. I just needed my tools back. I never wanted any of this. The bully opens his eyes, and I made it a war. Judy nods once, and now we deal with the aftermath. She shifts a stack of documents, aligning them carefully, an outward gesture of control returning to the room. The bully watches, bracing himself. Knowing what comes next is no longer about excuses or emotion. This next part, Judy says, is not punishment, it is consequence. And consequence is what teaches us who we become after the dust settles. He swallows hard. The plaintiff stiffens, waiting. Judy lifts a new document, a summary sheet, crisp and formal. Her next words will shape the rest of this confrontation. She rests a hand on it, looks at both men, and says quietly, "Here is what accountability looks like." The paper beneath her hand becomes the new center of gravity. Every eye in the room settles on it, because whatever comes next is no longer about emotion, but consequence. Judge Judy inhales slowly, grounding the moment. The bully straightens in his chair, not out of defiance this time, but in anticipation of impact. He looks like a man bracing for a wave he knows he created. The plaintiff sits as still as stone, hands woven together so tightly his knuckles pale. Judy begins with steady clarity. "Mr. Grant, the first layer of accountability is simple: the tools. You will return them immediately or pay the full replacement value. No delays, no conditions." The bully nods, small and stiff. Yes, I can do that." "The second," she continues, sliding the summary sheet forward, "is reimbursement for the damages caused by your harassment, including the missed work hours he documented." His eyebrows lift faintly. He expected anger, not itemization. "Okay," he murmurs. Judy does not pause. "Third, you will compensate him for the emotional distress tied directly to your efforts to effect his housing." That one lands harder. He looks up sharply. "I didn't mean—" She cuts him off gently but firmly. "Intent matters in moral court. In my courtroom, consequences matter more." He nods again, slower this time, letting the truth settle into the cracks of his defenses. The plaintiff shifts, startled. "I didn't want money," he says quietly. "I just wanted him to stop." Judy turns to him, voice warm. "And this ensures he does." The bully glances at the plaintiff, shame softening his features. "I never wanted to ruin your life. I was just angry. I thought—" He stops, swallowing hard. "I thought taking control made me strong." Judy interlocks her fingers, leaning forward. "Strength isn't domination, it's restraint. It's knowing your pain without handing it to someone else." The bully looks down. His voice breaks softly. "I'm sorry." The plaintiff's breath stutters. For a moment, he looks younger, relieved, hesitant, but open. "Thank you," he says quietly. But Judy is not done. She lifts a final document from the envelope, the seal still slightly torn from where she opened it. "There is one more consequence," she says. The bully tenses, eyes widening. "This behavior pattern, across your job, your past case, and now here, cannot go unaddressed, so my ruling includes a requirement. You must attend a behavioral accountability course and submit confirmation of completion." He blinks, stunned. That was not the punishment he expected. "A course?" "Yes," Judy says, "because this isn't about destroying you. It's about preventing you from destroying anyone else, including yourself." The plaintiff exhales. A subtle relief washes over him. This is justice, but not vengeance. The bully nods slowly. "I understand." Judy rests her hands on the desk, voice calm, grounded, final. "Accountability isn't the end of your story, Mr. Grant. It's the turning point, if you let it be." He lowers his gaze, shoulders rising and falling with a shaky breath. But she's not done. Because before this case closes, something deeper must settle. She leans in slightly, eyes locked on his. "And now," she says, "we confront what comes after accountability." His head lifts, uncertain, bracing. Acceptance doesn't arrive with a dramatic crash. It arrives quietly, in the way his shoulders finally drop, in the way he stops gripping the table, in the way his gaze no longer darts toward the exit, but settles on the truth in front of him. Judge Judy watches him with a steadiness that feels almost parental, not coddling, not pitying, but deeply invested in the moment he lets go of the person he pretended to be. The bully sits still, breathing unevenly, every rise of his chest a slow surrender. The plaintiff waits too, his hands folded, fingers no longer twisting with tension. Something in the room has changed, an emotional gravity pulling them all inward. Judy speaks first. "Mr. Grant," she says gently, "consequences are only half of what justice requires. The other half is acknowledgement." He nods slowly, as if each motion takes effort. I know." "What do you know?" she presses, leaning forward. He swallows, looks at the plaintiff, doesn't look away this time. That I hurt him, on purpose, because I thought if I wasn't the one in control, I'd be the one who got hurt. His voice cracks right down the center. The plaintiff's eyes soften with something fragile, something unexpected, empathy but cautious, human but guarded. I never wanted to hurt you back, he says quietly. I was scared of you. The bully closes his eyes for a moment, and when he opens them again, the arrogance that arrived with him is nowhere to be found. Only a tired kind of honesty remains. I know, he whispers. I could see it, and instead of stopping, I leaned into it. Judy's gaze drops for a moment, as if absorbing the weight of the admission. Then she looks up again, voice steady. When someone has been powerless for a long time, they sometimes mistake cruelty for safety. But that doesn't make it any less wrong. He nods again, wiping at his nose with the back of his sleeve. I'm trying, he says. I don't know how to be different yet. But I want to try. The plaintiff's breath stutters, almost a sigh, almost relief. That's all I needed, he murmurs. Not revenge, just a chance to breathe again. The courtroom grows soft around that moment, the harshness stripped away. Even the cameras seem to pull back, creating a wide shot. 2 men, one broken, one healing, both tangled in the aftermath of decisions that left scars on them both. Judy inhales deeply, shifting the atmosphere with a single controlled breath. Then we move forward, she says, not as enemies, not as rivals, but as people who understand the cost of their actions. The bully lifts his head, eyes wet. Thank you, he whispers, directed to her, to the plaintiff, maybe to the moment itself. Judy nods once, final and firm. Now, she says, reaching for her gavel, we bring this case to its conclusion. The gavel rises, slow, poised, inevitable. The gavel hovers in the air, not as a threat but as a promise. A final punctuation mark waiting to land on everything they have revealed. Judge Judy lowers it gently, not with force but with certainty. The sound echoes once, clean, precise, final. The bully straightens instinctively, breathing in as if the weight pressing on his chest finally loosens. The plaintiff lets out a quiet exhale, his shoulders easing for the first time in months. Here is my ruling, Judy begins, voice steady as stone. Mr. Grant will return the tools immediately or pay full replacement value. He will compensate the plaintiff for lost wages and for the emotional distress caused by his interference with housing. And he will complete a behavioral accountability course and submit proof of completion to this court. The bully nods slowly. I understand. And you, Judy adds, turning to the plaintiff, will receive every dollar and every assurance owed to you, because what you endured was not a misunderstanding. It was a misuse of power. The plaintiff nods, eyes shining, not from victory, but release. Judy continues, her voice softer but unwavering. This courtroom is not the place where we destroy people. It is where we reveal them, and where they choose what to do next. The bully lowers his gaze, letting the words settle into him like truth, finding a long, empty space to anchor itself. I'm sorry, he whispers again, more grounded this time, and I mean it. The plaintiff hesitates, then nods. I hope you get better, he says quietly. Because nobody deserves to live feeling smaller than they are. For a moment, neither man looks like the version who walked in. One no longer shrinking, the other no longer towering. Both finding a fragile kind of equilibrium. Judy leans back in her chair, hands folded gently. The lighting in the courtroom shifts, no longer harsh but softer, warmer, as if the room itself understands something has changed. It takes strength, she says, to face what you've done, and it takes strength to heal from what's been done to you. Neither path is easy, but both are necessary. The bully nods, absorbing every syllable. The plaintiff wipes a final tear. The gallery sits in stillness, the emotional dust settling across the room like falling sunlight. Judy rises. This matter is concluded. The bailiff steps forward, the cameras pan out, and the edges of the scene soften into a wide shot. 2 men standing, no longer bound by fear or anger, but by the truth finally brought into the open. As the bully turns to leave, he pauses, just long enough to whisper, "Thank you for not giving up on me." The plaintiff gives a small, tentative smile. Judy watches them, her expression unreadable but undeniably human. Because justice, real justice, is not loud. It is steady, it is earned, it transforms, and when the doors close and the cameras stop rolling, one truth remains. Arrogance collapses, but truth stands.